Welcome back to our YouTube channel, guys. My name is Adil and today's video is a sound off video where we compare what comes from factory over what we're actually putting in, and today's video is all about an upgrade that we're carrying out at the moment on a BMW M235i, and the car came in with Harman Kardon. However, we're changing that all over to the Audison system. So let's talk about it. But before we get on to today's video, make sure you guys at home have subscribed to our YouTube channel because we've got a massive competition live on our channel at the moment. We're giving away a brand new PlayStation 5 as well as an Audison Prima amplifier. All the details are in the description below. However, let's get on with today's video. So the kit that we've got in front of us, one side I've got the Harman Kardon equipment, then on the other we've got the Audison Prima. If you guys at home have ever listened to a BMW, whether that has Harman Kardon, which is the upgraded factory system, or the stock system, what you'll actually find is it sounds absolutely awful. Reason is because of stuff we're going to highlight in today's video. So make sure you stay to the very end because we're going to walk through not only higher frequencies, but all of the components that come from Harman Kardon, as well as going through what they can actually be upgraded with. In terms of what we've got here, these systems are designed as what's called a direct fit upgrade. Basically, they can go into a stock location so you don't see a thing. However, it transforms the sound of the system. So let's go. Starting off with the tweeters, which deal with all of the higher frequencies in a vehicle. Firstly, the Harman Kardon tweeter weighing in at 54 grams. Then over to the Audison Prima direct fit replacement weighing in at 60 grams. So what are the differences between these two products? In terms of actually, let's talk about some similarities before we get into the differences. The similarities is they can both sit into a complete stock location. However, the difference is the fact that you've actually got a difference in design from the component. They've got a similar form factor, but you have got a magnet difference as well. In terms of the design of the actual component, the Audison Prima range on this BMW set, because it's a direct fit replacement, these speakers have been specifically designed and manufactured to perform in an optimum way into stock locations on BMWs. So this will actually be sitting behind the Harman Kardon grille, so you're not going to know anything has changed whatsoever cosmetically. However, sonically, even everything from the actual grills on this design has actually been engineered in terms of looking at sound reproduction in a car, dealing with those high frequencies, because obviously this isn't going to be on axis like you may have seen in other vehicles that we've done installs on. We've actually built custom A-pillars to house, say, the Audison Thesis tweeter, but this is designed to go into a stock location. So this design is actually designed to sit in an off-axis position, but still have a great reproduction of sound, creating a really nice soundstage. However, the Harman Kardon tweeter is a very universal product, as well as the fact you've actually got a ferrite magnet on the back here over the neodymium magnet. So there's a major difference in the advantage of having a neodymium magnet over the ferrite magnet, which is all in the description below. Moving then on to the actual 4-inch inside the door, weighing in the Harman Kardon component, weighing in at 231 grams, over to the Audison Prima, which weighs in at 460 grams. So what are the actual differences between the two products? To start off with, let's talk about the Harman Kardon system. In terms of this 4-inch driver that sits in the door into a stock location, obviously the new component will sit into that same location as its direct fitment, but the main thing I want to talk about is the actual magnet on the back here. This is what's called a ferrite magnet, which is actually quite an old school way of designing a magnet, and also it's very cheap to produce and mass produce, and that's why brands like Harman Kardon on BMWs produce products with these sorts of magnets inside them, as well as the fact that normally they actually have traditionally quite a large form factor for the amount of output they're producing over the actual neodymium magnet that's built into the Audison Prima range, which is obviously a far newer style of magnet. But also you'll note that actually the size difference between the two, the Audison Prima range has a far bigger magnet, but still sitting in a stock location. So you might be wondering, well, why didn't, if the space was there to put this size of magnet in and this style, why weren't they producing it? It's because this is a mass-produced product, whereas this is a very specifically designed product for getting a great sound. As well as things that I really want to touch on as well is actually the framework and chassis of the component itself. Whenever you're moving down in the actual spectrum of sound and frequencies, the actual structure of the component matters a lot more because it's got to move a lot more air. This is just a plastic framework. However, this is actually still a plastic framework, but it's also reinforced by fiberglass. That's why the weight comes into it, as well as the actual all of the components inside it, as well as the magnet. But that reinforced structure gives a far better mid-bass performance and mid-range performance from this component in that stock location. Now it's time to add some mid bass as well as bass into the vehicle, but in a stock location. So what we've got here is a Harman Kardon Underseat woofer weighing in at 1,477 grams. Then over to the Audison Prima range, which actually weigh in at 1,210 grams. So what is the actual difference between the two? And obviously previously I talked about weight being a good indication of obviously quality of a product, but the Audison Prima range actually weighs less. So is it actually going to sound better than the Harman Kardon Underseat? And the answer is yes. The reason why the actual Harman Kardon component here weighs more than the Audison Prima range is again the magnet design. So this is using a ferrite magnet, which as you guys know now is a far more heavier magnet design, but also the form factor of it to actually produce good output, it needs to be absolutely massive. In terms of obviously what we've got on the Audison Prima range, we've got a neodymium magnet, which obviously has a smaller form factor, but obviously the power ratio to actually getting output of sound is far, far superior than using something like a ferrite magnet. So obviously we are using a smaller magnet, and that is where a lot of the weight comes from on this system. However, these are designed as the underseats to actually be a direct fit replacement. So you can see the connectors here at the bottom, they'll go directly into stock location, and they basically provide a lot more mid bass in the vehicle, not only behind the scenes in terms of the spiderweb design, the actual cone, how that's what's called excursion of a cone, how much that cone is moving backwards and forwards, producing a lot more air movement. Obviously these are directly underneath your seat, which isn't an ideal location. However, to go into a stock location, that is where the manufacturer has placed the factory component. So that's where we're going with these, but they do provide a lot more mid bass and a lot more depth and warmth. And a lot of the complaints you have from the BMW system is that depth and warmth, and these do really achieve that when you're taking out the Harman Kardon system or the bass system, which is a 6-inch driver, and changing it over to the new Audison Prima 8-inch. So also one thing that is also very important on the system is the actual power rating of these products. The Audison Prima range can hold 150 watts continuous RMS power being run to it to perform at a really, really nice solid pace when you're listening to your music, which gives a lot more reproduction of sound in the vehicle and gives you a lot more mid bass. Talking about amplification, let's move on to that. Amplification, the power of the system, and this is where a dramatic change is about to occur. In terms of the system, obviously this is the Harman Kardon amplifier, and what you get for your money when you're ticking that optional upgrade from BMW is a lot of heatsink basically. That's kind of all you get. In terms of the actual system itself, in terms of the amplifier, very, very low output. So you will find that on your volume, when you're listening to your Harman Kardon system, it doesn't go very, very loud. Reason is because this doesn't output that much power, as well as the fact that most of it in terms of the actual product here is built up by a metal framework and the actual heatsink itself, keeping the circuit board cool. But other than that, that's literally it. However, another thing that we want to point you in the direction of is a behind the sound series that we're doing on this car, talking about the upgrade that we're actually doing in terms of the actual installation rather than just comparing products. It's well worth the watch. Link for the first video is up here, guys, as well as the fact where this product actually doesn't work in the car, and these come into us. I think we've had about 3 or 4 in the last month or so that come into us because they're faulty, either water damage from factory, obviously stuff spilling on it, or just packing up in general. But obviously this is now transforming that system. So this currently does not work and is redundant, but we're actually bypassing the system and actually adding in an Audison Prima Forza amplifier, an 8-channel amplifier packed with power, as well as a lot more. In terms of the component, obviously you can see just in the level of detail from the component itself is far superior. In terms of the heatsink, you've got one on the side, one on the other side, but in a very compact Class D amplification design. In terms of the products, you're running 8 channels of amplification here, 9 channels of processing power, part of the DSP system inside it. The 8 channels of amplification are going to be fully utilized on this system, running what's called a fully active front end, running these components here completely fully active. The Forza system runs 85 watts per channel, and then we can also bridge channels to provide a lot more power to, say, the mid basses in the vehicle. In terms of actually on here as well, we've also got a processor built into it, which is what's called DSP, digital signal processing. What this actually allows us to do is take input all of the factory bad information into the product, clean it all up, make it all absolutely spectacular, all via software that we have control over, then that will then output the power over to the components to perform and give a massive difference in actual sound output. But you can see a lot more about this product in the final tuning video and talking about the system in Behind the Sound. So another episode of Sound Off is complete. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. You've seen the difference between the actual components behind the scenes on the Harman Kardon system from a BMW over what we're actually putting in as the Audison Prima direct fitment. Obviously, one of the reasons why this customer is upgrading is because obviously the Harman Kardon amplifier is faulty, which happens a hell of a lot. However, obviously doing this upgrade is very common as well. So if you own a BMW looking for an upgrade, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. And if you don't own a BMW, hopefully you've also seen another example of how manufacturers' equipment doesn't come anywhere near close to what we're actually putting into the vehicles when we're actually upgrading it to that next step. So thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. We look forward to seeing you next time.